What is going on, guys? Well, that was not fun while it lasted. After 5 seasons with the New York Giants, Odell Beckham Jr. was traded to the Cleveland Browns in a 2019 offseason blockbuster deal. Expectations were soaring for a Browns team that showed signs of hope in 2018. Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Chubb, and Baker Mayfield all on the same offense? Sign us up. Or so we thought. The Browns turned out to be a huge disappointment in 2019. And now Fox Sports NFL insider Jay Glazer is reporting that Beckham wants to leave the Browns, and that the Pro Bowl wideout has told opposing coaches and players to come get him. Glazer added that he doesn't expect the Browns-OBJ relationship to end well. With that, another Beckham offseason trade seems inevitable. The Browns simply have to hit the reset button. But where will Beckham go to next? These are the 9 best landing spots for the star wideout. Subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications. We post videos all the time. New videos all the time. Subscribe. Number 9, Arizona Cardinals. While rookie quarterback Kyler Murray and head coach Cliff Kingsbury certainly have a long way to go, there were always going to be growing pains for the new-look Cardinals. But we certainly didn't expect it to be this bad. Credit Larry Fitzgerald for sticking around during the rebuilding phase. But there's a good chance that he finally hangs up the cleats. Even if he comes back, Fitz is no longer that true game-changing force anymore. He's more like a number 3 receiver at best these days. Christian Kirk has lots of promise, but he can't carry the entire load in the passing game. The Cardinals really have to supply Murray with another top-end receiver that can stretch the field. And Beckham does just that. OBJ would be the perfect complement to Murray and his mad scrambling abilities. It's just too bad that nobody can seem to get open on a regular basis while Murray is extending plays with his legs. Beckham would completely change that. The Cardinals would have to attach at least a couple of early-round picks. Perhaps an impact veteran player like Jordan Hicks could seal the deal. How about Beckham for Patrick Peterson and some picks? Arizona plays in the toughest division in football, one that features 3 legitimate championship contenders. They have to go big or go home, and going big means landing a player of Beckham's caliber. Number 8, Green Bay Packers. The Packers aren't known for making blockbuster trades, and up until the last 3 or so years, they almost never spend big money in free agency. The Jimmy Graham signing has been a bit of a bust, and the Packers haven't been able to find a number 2 receiver to complement Devontae Adams. Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb declined quicker than expected, and it's put plenty of pressure on Adams to make plays while being double or triple teamed. Under new head coach Matt LaFleur, the Packers have relied more on their defense and powerful running games. That's a strong recipe for success. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers would be unstoppable once again if he could just get one more big-time playmaking wideout. OBJ put up monster numbers with Eli Manning as his quarterback. Imagine what he could do with A-Rod feeding him the ball. Also, the Packers shouldn't worry about his attitude. Rodgers, LaFleur, and this prideful Packers organization wouldn't tolerate his antics the way the dysfunctional Giants and Browns have. Green Bay shouldn't be afraid to attach one of its top defensive backs plus an early-round pick for Beckham. He might be that final piece they need to get over the hump once again. Number 7, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts got up to a strong start in the post-Andrew Luck era, but the lack of playmakers on offense finally caught up to them. As it turns out, running back Marlon Mack and wide receiver T.Y. Hilton can't do it all. Whether or not Jacoby Brissett is the long-term answer at quarterback remains to be seen, but at any rate, the Colts desperately need to add another dynamic pass catcher, especially with Hilton getting up there in age. The Colts have plenty of talent on both sides of the ball, and they should reestablish themselves as a Super Bowl contender in short time. Adding a player like Beckham might be the only necessary move for GM Chris Ballard to turn this thing around. Both Hilton and Beckham have the ability to stretch the field. Defensive coordinators would have nightmares trying to game plan for both of them. Frank Reich, one of the game's greatest offensive minds, could draw up a million plays with OBJ and Hilton. And hey, maybe Andrew Luck would come out of retirement if it meant playing with the perennial Pro Bowl wideout. Okay, maybe not, but you get the point. The Colts really need a player like Beckham if they want to return to contention. Number 6, Buffalo Bills. When Antonio Brown made it clear that he wanted to be traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019, Bills GM Brandon Beane stepped up and tried to make a play for the first-team All-Pro wideout. A trade was apparently close between the Steelers and Bills, but it ultimately never happened when Brown said he wouldn't report to Buffalo. Seeing how AB quickly paved his way out of Oakland, the Bills are probably relieved they never made a move after all. But still, the fact they pushed hard for AB in the first place goes to show how much Beane values a true playmaking wideout. The Bills have a legitimate championship caliber defense and a powerful ground game, but John Brown is their only legitimate threat in the passing game, and he's not a true number 1 wideout. Josh Allen has progressed nicely after a mistake-filled rookie year, but in order to maximize his potential, the Bills will need to rebuild the passing game around him. Brown is one of the game's top deep threats, but why not throw OBJ into the mix? He'd be able to work all over the field and cause a lot of mismatches against the opposition. Of course, the Bills may have concern about Beckham's attitude. Beane and head coach Sean McDermott have developed a fun-loving culture in Buffalo, but they could always take the chance on Beckham. And if if it doesn't work out, so be it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. For all we know, Beckham is the final piece of the puzzle that could turn this Buffalo offense into good to great. Number 5, New Orleans Saints. The Saints have one of the league's most talented and balanced rosters in football. You can easily argue that Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas are the best offensive triplets in the NFL. But the Saints have had one glaring weakness for several years now. That would be their lack of a legitimate number 2 receiver to complement Thomas. When he and Kamara aren't available, Brees is forced to look at Jared Cook, Ted Ginn, and Traquan Smith. Not exactly game changers. The Saints offense is already among the NFL's best, but they could actually surpass the likes of the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens if they just land one more dynamic pass catcher. New Orleans could offer a huge package for Beckham, at least 2 early round picks and maybe one of their cornerstone defensive pieces. Could Sheldon Rankins, Marcus Williams, or Demario Davis be included? The Browns will want at least one impact player in return. But could you imagine Thomas, OBJ, Kamara, and Brees all in the same offense? That, folks, is how you maximize the championship window of your aging future Hall of Fame quarterback. The Saints should be all over an OBJ trade once the offseason begins. This offense would be downright scary and pretty exciting. So, number 4, Philadelphia Eagles. Expectations for the Eagles, especially their offense, were sky high entering the 2019 season. Carson Wentz, Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz, and the stout offensive line were coming back, and the team added Jordan Howard, Deshaun Jackson, and JJ Arcega-Whiteside to complement them. But injuries limited Jackson to just 3 games in his second year with the Eagles, while Jeffrey also struggled to stay healthy. The Philadelphia offense just couldn't find any consistency, and GM Howie Roseman has to be aggressive once again in searching for solutions. Roseman loves adding big-name offensive playmakers when the chance comes around. He was all over Jeffrey, Djax, and Howard. Now he's got to make the play for Beckham. The Eagles are still built to win now, so Roseman shouldn't be afraid to trade picks for Beckham. Would a first-round pick Aguilar and one of Philly's standout defensive players make sense? Or Aguilar and 2 draft picks? Who knows? Roseman can offer up a lot. And with OBJ, Miles Sanders, and Ertz leading the way, this offense would return to its Super Bowl championship form. Even though Ertz has been a little streaky, it's still doable. Think about it. The NFC East is a train wreck. The Eagles would put themselves in the driver's seat for a long time if they manage to land somebody like OBJ in a blockbuster trade. It's a perfect time to make a move like this. Philly just needs to set up and make it happen. Number 3, Oakland Raiders. The Raiders added a Pro Bowl and world-class talent in the 2019 offseason, landing Antonio Brown from the Steelers. We all know how that ended though. Brown caused a bunch of drama and got into a heated confrontation with general manager Mike Mayock. Then he released an audio of a private phone call with head coach John Gruden. So the Raiders had no choice but to cut Brown before week 1. That left Derek Carr without a legitimate number 1 receiver. And the Raiders offense struggled mightily in 2019. Tight end Darren Waller enjoyed a breakout year, and rookie running back Josh Jacobs had a season for the ages. But none of Oakland's wide receivers stepped up in 2019, and the offense simply won't go far until that changes. Gruden and Mayock rolled the dice on Brown, and so did I in fantasy, and it failed. But even Beckham, with all of his attitude problems, is nothing close to being the troublemaker that AB is. Gruden is a renowned players coach, and he's the type of coach who could get Beckham to focus solely on winning football games, rather than worry about his own stats. The Raiders landed a ton of draft picks from the Chicago Bears in the 2018 Khalil Mack trade. Gruden can easily dangle a handful of selections to land Beckham. Waller, OBJ, and Jacobs? That would put the Raiders in a much better position to go up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offensive juggernaut. Again, this could very well come down to Gruden and Mayock wanting to take another chance on a dramatic wide receiver. But with OBJ, the reward is greater than the risk. Not to mention, adding Beckham would go a long way towards enhancing tickets and merchandise sales once the team moves to Vegas. Number 2, Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks under GM John Schneider and head coach Pete Carroll love taking chances on big-name veteran players when the timing is right. Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, Jadeveon Clowney, and Josh Gordon are only some of the many examples. Carroll has implemented an ultra-fun, easygoing, and lovable winning environment in Seattle. He has the perfect balance of A, wanting to win, and B, having as much fun as possible. How many other coaches have that perfect combination of both? The Seahawks have one of the game's most prolific offenses under Russell Wilson. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are quality pieces in the passing game, but we can't call them true number 1 receivers. Beckham, on the other hand, is totally a number 1 wideout. Wilson has the best deep ball in the NFL. You can only imagine what kind of wonders he and Beckham would do together. Wilson was even said to have encouraged the Seahawks front office to sign Antonio Brown in 2019. You think he won't do the same for OBJ during the 2020 offseason? It's already difficult enough to game plan against the Seattle offense. Throw in a top 5 wideout and they'd be even more unstoppable. The Seahawks are never afraid to mortgage high-end picks for premium players. Look no further than the Clowney and Percy Harvin trades from the past. Now they could just find a way to land OBJ. Number 1, you guessed it, New England Patriots. The Patriots have been tied to Beckham in trade rumors before, but nothing ever came to fruition. Bill Belichick, of course, has never been afraid to bring a wide receiver with some attitude or off-the-field troubles. This includes Randy Moss, Chad Ochocinco, Josh Gordon, and Antonio Brown. So what would stop Belichick from trying to get OBJ? The answer is nothing. And hey, if the guy could pay for a premium for Brandon Cooks in 2017, he can offer up a lot more to get somebody of Beckham's caliber. With Rob Gronkowski retired, the Patriots relied solely on Julian Edelman at wide receiver. A deep vertical threat and dynamic playmaker is needed to help this offense, and adding OBJ would set this team up nicely in the post-Tom Brady era. The Patriots desperately need another wide receiver. They pushed hard for Beckham before, add it all up, and they're the most logical landing spot for the Pro Bowl wideout. Where do you think OBJ will land in the 2020 offseason? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. TikToks, I make TikToks all the time, and they're really good, so if you want more of me and want to laugh a little bit, go follow me on TikTok. YouTube as well, and also Instagram and Twitter. We're everywhere. TPS, we're literally everywhere on social media, so go look for us and subscribe and follow and do whatever. Of course, subscribe to TPS down below too, because we post videos every single day. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click right down below. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.